This is the Tabernacle Podcast with Rachel Vore, Victoria Hughes, and yours truly, John Vermillion. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is unfair. This is a 2v1, right? In any soccer scenario, football scenario, basketball scenario, I am most...
Street fight.
Street fight.
No.
I'm outnumbered.
Yeah,
And,
TKO.
and also, full disclosure, a little afraid of both of you for different
my
reasons, but
gosh.
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
We are scary.
Yeah.
No.
Scary in a
So
very sweet and genuine
intimidating.
way. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure, podcast family, I'm not sure where this podcast is going. The laughing fit before we began
Stop.
delayed us a good 30 minutes.
Stop.
Easily.
It's
yeah.
right. It's on the edge. It's going to be there the whole time. So could tip over the edge back
So,
into the giggle fit.
There's more confessions to make. One is that one member at this podcast table definitely did not want to be here and fought it tooth and nail. She may or may not be wearing a black shirt.
Yeah.
The one wearing a white shirt keeps claiming she didn't know she was on this podcast
I
today.
literally, I think I'm awake. So I'm just rolled out
Listen,
of bed. Came right here.
Martin Rizzi has been doing a great job of trying to schedule things. And
100%
so
for sure.
in his defense, he is prepared.
Oh, yeah.
We're the ones that are a little
Don't know how
flighty.
to read our text messages. So that's what's going on.
Oh, it's
Well
gonna
done,
be
Rizzi.
fun. And I also want to say to both of you, I am in your debt for multiple reasons, and we don't have to go into all of those. But Rachel, your friendship, your service, not just the women's director, but you've been a lifeline for our family, particularly through Mama, right? And that friendship, and Victoria, you have too. But Victoria just says yes because she's so good at creating margins in her life. She just shows up
Right.
randomly to sing the national anthem at a high school soccer game as a favor to me,
Wow.
right? Puts up with me, allows us to get to work with Lord Matthew Corey Hughes, who's our producer here. And so, yeah, there's just so many, and not to mention the impact you've had on my kids, my life. So I felt a little guilty asking you then to give a little more and come and talk about margins today. So
I see what
thank
you did there.
I'm
Well
saying
played.
thank you. I'm saying thank you.
You're
Right.
welcome.
So what do I mean when we talk about margins? Margins are something very few American Christians, or just Americans, or just people in general seem to create. I'm always enamored when I meet someone who kind of lives from this place of rest, this place of peace. They've got everything in balance. They're always not just on time, but they're early. They're never in the busy. And we live in the busy, and sometimes the busy is the enemy of rest. And so now I'm talking to moms. Victoria and I are both in grandparent world, which is amazing. It's a different podcast. But with ministry, with family, being a spouse, being a mother or father, all of the commitments that we make, trying to love God and love people well, we can go, do, and do some more. We can spend ourselves in service to others and to the Lord, and in the midst of it, lose ourselves, right? Jesus himself, famous for saying, what profits a man if he gains the whole world by saying yes to everything and yet loses his own soul? The problem is heart work doesn't happen in the busy. The busy is kind of the backdrop. And I'm not saying that God can't work in the busy, but that deep heart work happens in the quiet. It happens in places of solitude. So what we thought we would do with this podcast is let's talk about margins. On top of that, Rachel organized Women of Valor night recently, and our honored speaker was?
Victoria Hughes.
Yes. And you asked her, now, did you ask her to speak on this topic? Or,
Yeah. So she was given the WAPO one day, and I was like, why is she not in front of the women more often? And so I felt like, I think it was a month before Women of Valor, and I said, hey, I see something on you and that you have the ability to, and maybe this is a good opportunity. And what was you said, I hate you?
Yeah.
Or,
Standard.
Yeah.
That's
No.
the standard
Yeah.
response.
she said, you kind of been feeling that way too, a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because it was
Yeah.
the year prior, you kind of mentioned
Right.
this topic about wanting to address it with the ladies, and it didn't seem like it was the right time. I think you were
Yeah, it was
right in
just
the middle
over a
of
year.
it. Yeah.
Just over a year ago.
Yeah.
So to define our terms, Rachel used a behind the curtain or behind a backstage term. The WAPO is the welcome announcements, prayer, and offering.
Yep.
And one of the things that we've told Victoria forever that because she's a humble person, and I mean that genuinely, that when she sings, everyone knows that she can sing and lead us in worship, and it's great. When she speaks, people lean forward. And
do.
she's, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. The Lord's still working on her. So you had heard her just connecting with people
Yes.
from something from God's word, something that God was teaching her, and you were like, boom.
Yep.
Holy Spirit's kind of leading you to say, hey, next Women of Valor night, let's talk about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, another little behind the scenes thing is this journey for you. And I know you've been battling this your whole life, just like I have, just like we all do. But in our meetings, you had referenced that this was something that God was really kind of working into you and Matt. I remember when you finally took a vacation. And it was the biggest victory of all time that you and Matt went to someplace hot. Matt, do you remember those days? Please don't walk out the door right now, right? Somewhere in the Virgin Islands, I think, and hadn't done a vacation in like forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went and you came back. You guys were tan, rested, ready, and you were ready to say no to everything.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. But it was such a good experience, I think, just the two of you in a beautiful place, enjoying God's creation, enjoying rest, you know, all that you did it again. You've gone twice.
Yep.
It's become the happy place.
I think so.
It's become the little escape place, right?
It was a revelation to us. That's what people do, is they go in their rest.
Yeah, imagine
it was
that.
Shocking.
Yeah, it
It was
goes.
shocking.
It goes against all her
Yeah, it was
British upbringing.
crazy.
This is about duty, discipline.
It was just weird.
Honor.
We will fight them on the beaches. Sorry, no
we
more
will
Winston
never,
Churchill. So,
never surrender.
if you, man, woman, student, whatever, you're struggling with rest, we're going to dive into it a little bit. And what I'd like to do is jump first into Mark chapter 1, the Gospel of Mark. And then we're going to go to Mark chapter 4. And then I want to pick up with some of the things that, Victoria, you shared with the ladies last qualifier. I was actually there hiding backstage because I wanted to hear my sister, my friend, because I've always believed that you could carry the mail. And it was fantastic. It was fantastic. So Mark chapter 1, let me just set it up here just a little bit. Mark is the gospel writer that moves quickly. You would think that he was so busy he couldn't add details, but the details that Mark added were so rich for us. And out of the four gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I think only the only other gospel writer that catches these moments of rest, of solitude, of silence might be Luke. But so Mark starts out with John the Baptist preparing the way. It covers the baptism of Jesus, the temptation of Jesus, and then in verse 14 he begins his ministry, and he's preaching the time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent and believe the gospel. He very quickly moves through the calling of the first disciples, and then his ministry early on in Capernaum, where he heals a man with an unclean spirit. And it finishes in this little chapter in the ESV. It says, everyone was amazed. They questioned among themselves, who is this? A new teaching with authority. He commands even unclean spirits. They obey him. And at once his fame spread everywhere throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee. So the picture that I'm painting, or that the scripture is painting, and what I'm trying to draw attention to, is that it was like, boom, this is a phenomenon. Everyone is hearing about this guy. And now we see the crowds start to come. In verses 29 to 34, Jesus heals many people. He happened to be staying at Peter's house. His mother-in-law was sick with a fever, and he came, took her by the hand, lifted her up, and the fever left her, and she began to serve them. And then in verse 32, that evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or oppressed by demons. And verse 33, the whole city was gathered together at the door. Like there are crowds. This is busy. This is big time. So he's got his disciples, and we don't know, is this weeks, months? Is this a year? Because Mark really goes quickly. But then with all of these people clamoring, the fame is spreading, the whole city's at the door. They're ready for more people to be healed. Verse 35, and rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed. So you get this picture of our Savior, our God, our King, not starting with, okay, what's on the agenda? First thing for the day. He's in a lonely place. It says in other parts of the Gospels, Jesus very often would go out to lonely places or desolate places and just be alone, which is always mind-bending for me because he is God, but felt the need to get away and speak to God, God the Father, right? And so if you go on into verse 36, and Simon and those who were with him searched for him, and they found him and said to him, everyone is looking for you. And he said to them, let's go on to the next town, that I may preach there also. For that is why I came out. And he went throughout all Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. I've always been struck by that they're like, look at all this work here. Look at all these people that want to see you. Look at all this opportunity to heal, to preach, to teach. We've conquered Capernaum. And his response is, everyone's looking for you, man. They're all there. Now it's the whole town. They brought the whole county. This is it. Let's say yes. And he goes, yeah, let's move on. We're out.
Okay.
Do you see margins in there at all?
Yeah, I think he absolutely recognizes the need for rest, but more than that, he went and prayed. So he knew that to fill his tanks is resting and spending time with his Father, reconnecting, making sure he's still aligned, make sure he's still being obedient. He's listening to where he's supposed to go next. Because I wonder if it was me, I'd be like, I'm going to stay here because I'm kind of a big deal here.
Yeah.
And I already have success here.
Yeah.
As opposed to, no, let's move on. Let's see what else is there. So I think we will stand and spin in the same spot.
Yeah.
Because now you can believe your own press, right? Your own good press.
Yeah.
So they're like, everybody's here. We're doing so great. Well, let's have some more of that. And he's like, no, I've reconnected with my Father. I've rested. I've prayed. Let's keep moving. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and then you see in verse 30.
Working out of the rest.
Yeah, sorry. You see in verse 38 that he's like, oh, no, this is what my mission is here. This is why I have come. And so he needed to have that time away with the Father. So then that way he's more focused on the kingdom of heaven rather than the kingdom here on earth.
Yeah.
And so he got his why pretty much is let's go on to the neighboring villages so that I may preach. And this is why I have come. So it was almost like he needed that reminder of looking at, above and ahead rather than what's around him and what's going on around him.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And even though in that little vignette into his life, the fast, highlight reel that Mark is saying, Jesus doesn't use the word no, but he says no. Because the implication, I think, unless I'm reading into it, is everyone's looking for you. Hey, let's keep doing this. The disciples were buying into what you were saying, Victoria. We have success here. We have, they've been called. We're going to follow this guy and see where it leads us. And now they're seeing something they haven't seen in their lifetime. You're the candidate.
Right.
You're the one that everybody wants. You're the rock star, and we get to be close to you. Let's stay here. And he says no. He says no. And to your point, Rachel, he was saying, for that is why I have come. There was something we talked about a little bit before the podcast. It's something that I've mentioned in church that a pastor said to me about a year ago, said to a group of us pastors. And it's been rolling around in my head. I can't get rid of it. He said, stop telling people to fulfill their potential. Stop telling your children you need to fulfill your potential. Stop believing you need to fulfill your potential. And then he went on to say, which is kind of, inflammatory. He said, Jesus did not fulfill his potential. He didn't heal. We see right here all the people he could have healed. They brought more sick people. Let's move on. Come on, you're the Son of God. You can just Jedi. You are all healed. I mean, he could have done it in mass. He didn't have to be personal. He could have fulfilled earthly potential. He could have preached to the people that were brought that day. The whole town's coming. Everyone's looking for you. They want more. They want to be disciples. They want to start a church. We need a book tour. Jesus, let's write a book, which, by the way, he did through his Spirit, but that's a different podcast. But there's no book tour. There's no, let's organize this. There's no, how do we capture this from a world perspective? Because he said, I was called for something different. And so to the point that this pastor was making is when we're constantly, and yeah, it's a paradox, but when we're constantly putting this pressure on people to fulfill their earthly potential, there is the potential to miss their calling, the potential to miss their mission or their purpose, why God put them here. And when I thought about that, it's like, that changes the way I parent, even though now they're all over 18. But now as I come alongside them, what would I rather? That my kid does everything he or she can based on the personality, the intellect, the physical capabilities that God gave them, the hours in the day. I could see you doing this, and I could see you. Well, that's me imposing my will and what the world thinks that I can get the most out of, right? Get the most out of your life. Get the most out of your ability. Some of the most shocking people to me are people that have a talent in something and they're not interested in that thing. Like they can sing, but they're like, yeah, I'm not called to sing. I'm called to do this. Or someone, and even back to the pressure I've put on you. Hey, you can speak. And you're like, look, that's not my calling, right? But it doesn't mean that I don't sing or I don't speak or I don't do this or I don't do that. But Jesus did not model fulfilling his earthly potential. He knew what he came to do.
Fulfill the mission.
Yeah. Thoughts about that? Fulfilling your potential versus fulfilling what you're supposed to do. Sorry, before we go to Mark 4.
I think the key to that then is you have to be able to identify what your mission is. It's like, how will I know the difference? Because I think sometimes the fulfilling our earthly mission can masquerade as, our earthly potential can masquerade as our God-given mission. So I think for me, for us as women, it's like, I'm a mother and I'm going to, I'm going to raise these children, I'm going to raise them right. And that's what we do. And this is such a balance. It's such a fine line because, we're supposed to take care of our kids, but when it becomes your identity.
Yeah, there you go.
And your worth and your, if my kid's doing well, then I'm doing well.
Yeah.
And so you attach yourself to to that, your identity to your children. So I think the first step is I have to know what is it God's calling me to? Because otherwise, all these earthly things you'll be like, but this is what God's called me to. But really, has he?
Yeah.
Has he really though? So you have to know. So I think that's the number one thing. That's how we don't fall into that trap.
And it's not going to always be like the easiest path either, where you're like, I have this. Yeah. I mean, you would have to have a little bit of natural talent, but that's not going to be the deciding factor of which direction you should go. And because sometimes he's the one that's equipping you during the process of, as he's calling you, he's equipping us. And so it may not be a natural thing that we know how to do, but through our obedience, he will teach us and grow us more into the image of his son. And then as well as we're walking on mission to where he's calling us to affect our lives.
And I would argue that to your point there, that's a calling for all of us. So, yes, there's this whatever vocational calling is, and I'm not even sure it is, and I'll address that in a minute, but there's a calling that's clear. If you're a mother, that's a calling. If you're a father, that's a calling. If you're a disciple, that's a calling. And that's more important than what you think your earthly calling might be. Well, I'm called to business. Yeah, but if you're a husband, you're called to do that first.
That's what I mean. It's that fine, fine, fine line.
And what I'm not saying about Jesus not fulfilling his earthly potential is not to say that Jesus didn't work hard. This is different from work ethic. It's working, you know how they say work smarter, not harder. This is working on the intentional things rather than the things that are less important. Because here's and this has everything to do, in my opinion, with margins, where we're going. This pastor went on to say to a group of pastors, and we're all pastors of very large churches. And actually, the Tabernacle is a large church, but we were one of the smaller churches. These churches were 5, 6, 7, 10 times larger than the Tabernacle. And we're all in this room. There's about 65 of us. And he says, gentlemen, I'm going to say something that you probably disagree with. He said, being a pastor is not your calling. And then you could just see, it was like, what? He was like, whatever. And then he goes on to say, and you know who I'm talking about, right? Of course, San Diego pastor in flip-flops talking to all these guys, right? He says, God can get other pastors. He can get other leaders. He goes, but your wife can't get another husband. Or your kids, they don't have another dad. That's your calling. And he goes, and if you lose your own soul leading this church, and you don't have, he was talking about margins, he was talking about saying no in ministry. And this carries over whether you're in vocational ministry or not, whether you're leading women's ministry, you're our tech director here, or, you're our creative arts director, pastor guy. He was saying, this could be to the mechanic. This could be to the stay-at-home mom, that's trying to say yes to everything to somehow find some sort of validation or get the dopamine rush or to feel like I'm fulfilling my potential. He was saying, at least part of your calling is clear. Disciple, husband or wife, man or woman, parent, grandparent, that's the calling. And if you're saying yes to everything and you're just running on empty because it's busy, 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 and as you gave us that beautiful picture during your talk, if the margins on the piece of paper are filled, sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder there.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's go to the example that you used, which was in Mark chapter 4. Victoria, do you want to take that away? Because this builds right into it. It's just 2 chapters later with Jesus calming the storm.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, this book, we kind of zip through it, but by the time we get to Mark 4, and we're towards the end, so 35, we're about, from some of the research I read, about 2/3 into his ministry, which was what, 3.5 years?
Yeah, about 3.
About 3.
Yeah, about 3.5.
So we're about 2.5 years into his ministry. So teaching, preaching, healing, teaching, preaching, here, and just go, 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 go. And there comes a point where he'd been preaching on the parables and sharing, and evening comes and he's like, we're going to go across the sea. We're going to the other side. So they leave this huge crowd. He's had to stand on the boat to be seen because there's so many people standing at the water's edge. And he's like, we got to go. So he knows where he's going. They're going across the water to Gerasenes, and he's been called to do this. And they're going to, they're meeting the man who's been living in the caves, living in the tombs. He's with the unclean spirit.
Yeah.
He's been cast out. He's cutting himself. I mean, this is as bad as it gets.
They're trying to chain him up. He's breaking chains.
Yeah, can't be held.
And these guys don't know this, but Jesus does.
Jesus does.
Yeah.
And so the main point of this, when you read it, there's a big storm comes while they're on this really treacherous piece of water, and he's sleeping. Jesus is sleeping in the boat, and they're all freaking out, and there's huge waves, and it says, but he was in the stern asleep on the cushion. They woke him and said to him, teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? So extra. And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said, said to the sea, peace, be still. The wind ceased, there was a great calm. He said to them, why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? So there's a couple of things going on here. It's that display of, hey, do you still not trust after everything you've seen? Because again, they've been with him through this long stretch of ministry. And they're like, who is him? Even the sea obeys. Like, oh my gosh, you guys.
Do you still not believe? Have you not seen?
But the demonstration of, for me, and actually, and Rachel and I had talked about this piece of scripture, is he rested on his way to do the big thing.
Yeah.
I said the main event, capital M, capital E.
Yeah.
So he was asleep on the boat when everything else was crazy. He needed rest to prepare for the thing that God had called him to do. Because he had spoken to his father, he was in constant communication. He would rest and pray. So he didn't stay awake, fret, worry, run around in circles about this thing. Well, God's called me this thing. What am I going to do? And just stress and worry. He just rested. He was clear what he had to do, very focused on the mission that was given to him. And he allowed space, margins, so that when he arrived to do the thing, to cast the demon out, and it's a whole great story, as we move into Mark 5, he was ready for it.
Yeah, because that was a big confrontation.
Big,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This was a man with a demon or unclean
Legion.
spirit.
Yeah,
It was
Legion.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Legion.
Legion
he says
that no
"For we
one
are
could
Legion."
control.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
wasn't this the one where he cast the demons into the pigs?
into the pigs.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. There's something in that story that you just read that I just thought about, and it's very endearing to me, that he was asleep on a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that it's that little detail, that he's not this, well, obviously we see his humanity. He needed rest. There's another beautiful picture here is the disciples are manning the boat
Mm-hmm.
and he is resting. He's the leader, but not like what, the world says leaders should do. Here, guys, I got this. You rest. Jesus, our superhero, has it. He's like, hey, guys, you got this. I'm just going to take a nap. But he's on a cushion. There's comfort. Just, for me, that's just super endearing. And it's letting other people do what they're good at so I can get a nap to do the big thing.
Yeah.
And it's just this beautiful picture of the God-man being a man.
Yep.
And the humility sometimes that it takes to say, I need a nap, I mean, we joke, but it's so true. I mean, sometimes the most spiritual thing you could do is take a nap.
We talk about church nap on Sunday afternoons.
Oh, Jesus, taking naps.
Deepest sleep.
I'm so thankful.
We all go home and take a nap.
But he had a margin in here because you can read the Gospels and there's other stories like this. There's that kind of tie both Mark 1 and Mark 4 together. I'm not going to look it up right now, but it's right after the feeding of the 5,000 where Jesus tells them, go to the other side.
Yeah.
You go. He goes up onto the mountain alone. He dismisses the crowds. He says no to everybody, no to the disciples, no to the crowds. He goes up on the mountain to pray. And then it's later that night.
He sees them.
I'll catch up.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to walk on water like
Right.
you do,
Yeah.
and the whole thing with Peter and the water walkers, Isn't that a picture of him also creating a margin?
Yeah.
Sometimes the margin was a nap. Lots of times the margin was just spending time with God.
Yeah. He's so focused on the mission. And if I really step, because I go, well, of course he was. He's Jesus, and he has a direct line to his Father, as we do. But when I think about, when we look at real world examples of when you go from, zero to hero, right? So we look at people who, it can be especially megachurch pastors or, someone who bursts onto the music scene or sports and they become celebrities, and then everybody wants a piece. It just
and there's so many examples where they're not ready for it.
That's what I mean.
They
the
implode.
Distraction, I can't even imagine. And that's when you're just being a celebrity. He's healing people. He's saving lives. So it's all very noble, right? So you, as a human being, the potential for incredible distraction. But when you really read through his ministry, the incredible level of focus. So he's completely, he just keeps moving forward. Rabble, just keeps moving forward. Focus on the mission. Focus on resting when he needs to rest. Discipleship, so you go do it. I don't have to do it all. It's unbelievable, the level of focus. You just can't.
Well, that was
It's
part
incredible.
of his mission, was to equip the saints to go do the work of the ministry. And he knew that the helper was going to eventually come so that they can do more and greater things than he was able to do in his earthly mission. And so I think what he's showing us, I mean, he tells us that I am the vine, or that he's the vine, we are the branches, but the Father is the vine dresser. So he has this very intimate understanding that it is the Father that he yields to the Father's plan. He yields to the Father's cutting and pruning and direction of where the vine needs to be going through the different towns and villages and places that he's calling them.
And he's not so busy that he can't hear it.
Right.
I mean, this is a 33, 32, 33-year-old man, super busy, rock star by our terms, or the big candidate or the big CEO, and thousands are following him. But
everyone has come to see you.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole town's here.
Yeah.
And he keeps ghosting people so he can go spend time with the Father, and then he moves on, you know? I mean, even back to the stop fulfilling your potential. I would probably bet my house. I can't remember if I said this before the podcast or during it, but so forgive me if I'm saying it again. I'm a grandfather. That's what they do. They repeat their stories. I would bet my house that I've preached to more people than Jesus preached to. That I've traveled. Well, I know. I'm talking about the God-man Jesus. He created the world, but I've traveled to preach to more places than he ever did. More geography, more country. I mean, he just stayed right around. He just walked around this lake for 3 years. Fulfilled his mission, died on a cross, and he was out. And, you know, he's coming again, but he fulfilled his mission. I can say, well, from a worldly perspective, I've done all these things, but I didn't die on a cross for anybody, and I can't save anybody. And it was Jesus who promised his disciples, you will do greater things than these. You will do greater things than I have done. That is the most like mic drop moment of I fulfilled what he called me to do. And guess what? You're going to do more. Like he's almost celebrating the fact that the exact thing that God called me to do, I did it. And we never see him burning out, spinning out, you know, having a breakdown. It was the perfect rhythm, the perfect margin, the perfect balance, you know.
Well, I think exactly what you just said is one of the things I talked about at Women of Valor is why don't we follow that example better? He was so secure in the knowledge of what he was called to do, never questioned himself. I mean, well, I don't want to be heretical, but you know, we see him in the garden.
Yes.
If there's any other way, right.
My God, why?
Right. Yeah. But laser focused. I think when we start to go, one of the things I talked about is why do we blow through our margins? Why do we fill up?
Yeah, let's dive into that.
You know,
let's rehash all of that because someone didn't press record that night. So
no, it's fine.
I'm just kidding.
One of the visual that came to me was our piece of paper. Right, we have our piece of paper and a notebook, and you have that red line down the side. That's the margin. It's there for a reason. So we tend to, you know, you fill up your page and then you go into the margin and then you turn the piece of paper sideways and you start writing down the side until the writing gets smaller and smaller. We pack stuff into the margins.
That's what we do with our life.
Yeah. And so that red line is kind of don't go past the red line, but we do all the time. And I think so much of it is based in insecurity. It's just, some of the things that came to mind for me was that I struggle with, these are all things I struggle with, is the reason why I will blow through the margins and never leave time is pride. So I have huge amounts of pride with that. I'm trying to prove something. So if I don't do it, then nobody will. It's down to me. I'm the only one that can do it. So that kind of which looks like self-sacrifice. And I think, and I'm trying to mass generalization because women, we struggle with that because our brains multitask. So we can do multiple things at a time.
Yep.
We are mothers, wives, you know, we are kind of task oriented in that way. I'm not, but really it's pride. I'm not content to take a back seat and just watch. It's like, I'll just do it. It's better if I just do it myself. So pride is a huge one for me. Fear. I've given that task to somebody before and they've let me down. That can be, I don't know, sometimes family of origin stuff, but that's doing it on my own strength. It's like, I'm too afraid to hand it over to even to the Lord. It's like, nope. So fear,
I got to control this.
Pride. Yep. And then some of us are addicted to chaos. We just love the crazy. It's like, I just can't sit still for a minute. So I'm just going to keep packing stuff in until I'm at the absolute edge of the paper and I've turned the page around. insecurity. That's what I'm talking about, the insecurities. Am I enough? Am I doing enough? Am I perceived as lazy? Am I doing enough in my faith walk, in my life, in my career? Speaking specifically to women, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister. And then you have all those things. And then as an employee, if I work outside of the home, just that constant, am I enough? And then the final one I said was, we don't even notice. It's so insidious. Days go by, weeks go by, months go by, and you keep saying yes. You keep adding one more thing. It's the frog in the pot, right? So you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it'll be like, this is insanity, and jump out. But if you put it in a pot of cold water and slowly turn the heat up, it literally will boil alive without realizing it.
And this is what happens with those, because this isn't just a woman thing. This is a man thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different motivations, and the, the pride, the ego. I got to do it myself. If I don't do it, no one will do it.
What if people think I'm lazy? I'm not working hard enough.
Yes, or I got to validate myself, right? Yep. This is why pastors are suckers for it, because half the people are like, "Oh, he only works one day a week. Must be nice. He has soft hands. Whatever." We fill those things, but it isn't just Christians. All sorts of people just fill all those margins, and I don't even know if we turn it sideways. We keep spinning it around because then with all the other things that we fill it with, like I feel like a complete hypocrite right now. Because of something that happened. I can't remember if it was last night or this morning, whenever it was. So the day's packed, ministry, life, husband, grandfather, father, friend, I'm coaching, I'm doing all the things, and also like having my little morning Bible time, this or that and the other. And then, of course, I've got to double check because social media is important, right? We got to stay connected and this and that and the other. And I come across a meme that I shared it, and I'm realizing it was probably the most hypocritical thing I've ever shared. Right. So here's your pastor or one of your pastors confessing a small hypocrisy. Right. It was a quote from John Piper, and I'm not even a John Piper fanboy. He's great. He's fine. I'm down with John Piper. Please don't send me mail. But he said the greatest contribution of what did he say? I think it was Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, whatever, is that one day we won't be able to stand, or the record of what we put on social media. It stands as a record before God that one day we can't stand before him and say we did not have enough time for more prayer. And I'm like, I'm going to share that while I'm on social media and not spending more time in prayer. Right? That's the hypocrisy. But it's filling even that little edge.
Yeah.
And not to be just the millionth or the 100 millionth Christian that's talked about the phone. But the phone, it's a tool, and it's also a distraction, just a massive distraction.
But the problem is, if you blow through the margins and you fill in that space, when here, lo and behold, comes along the thing he's called you to do, and he's like, all right, this is the thing. You're exhausted, overwhelmed, have no time. I think about how many times I have filled up, and this is where this last year has been such a journey for me, and I don't have, please hear me on this. I do not have this down, but more and more I'm finding evidence that I'm doing better. So you're exhausted, you've filled every day, there's literally not an hour to do the things. Amy Prue posted a thing a while back that said, you were not created for a life that you're too busy to participate in or something like that. It was like, it was like a knife to the heart. But so what happens is you're exhausted, your days are full, and then comes along the thing he's called you to do, and I get angry, get angry.
Yes.
Well, I don't possibly have time for one more thing because you're literally living here, drowning. So one more even small thing, even your kids saying, can we spend some time together? I need to talk to you. Why don't I possibly have time for that?
Yeah.
And you get angry and frustrated and indignant. So yesterday, and again, I don't have this down, but I'm trying to leave a couple of hours every day or within the day or throughout the weeks, not every day, just in case.
Yeah.
And that's so hard to do because you might go 6 months and never use that just in case time. And you're like, this is a waste. I could be doing something with this time. Well, yes, praying, spending time in the Word.
Being silent.
Just sitting.
Being quiet.
Taking a nap.
Yeah.
But yesterday, I happened to have cut some time and I got a call. It's somebody very important to me, had been rushed to hospital. I dropped a small thing that I was doing that can definitely wait. I'll pick it up today, and was able to go to the hospital and spend time.
Because you created a space for the what if?
Yeah.
Did you call it the what if?
Sure.
Or
Yeah. Just just creating space, for what if something comes along that he needs me to do right away. And for us, it's often a hospital visit, or it's related to the people that either are family, friends, the people we're called to shepherd, congregation or whatever. But there was this immediate little relief of, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I had time to do that. And didn't mean I had to shuffle 20 million things. I literally, Matt Sten, I got up, grabbed my keys. Lucy I'm like, you want to come with me? Because it's a family member. She's like, yeah, I'll come with you. It was my daughter. And we went together. And it was this is what it's like.
This is what it's like to have space.
Space for the things that he might have called me. So this is a family member who doesn't come to church yet. She will at some point, and show up and just show up. So it just, you get the little affirmation of, I needed you to leave that space. So it's so hard though, because like I said, you might go months and months and that space just sits there unused, quote unquote unused. And you're like, I could be being productive right now. Well, what is productive? What's your definition of productive?
I could be fulfilled.
But Victoria, you weren't always like that. And so like, and you shared with us women, like, where did you get to for you to finally learn all of this stuff? Like, what did you have to go through? Because when you brought it up about a year ago, I was like, I sat with the Lord on it, and I was like, I think she's still literally in the middle of the storm. That now's not the time to talk about it. But then when I saw you on stage, I was like, okay, she's out of that storm. She's learned. She's grown. She's doing. And so you were ready to testify about what you had to walk through. So what were some of the things that you had to walk through to learn to make these margins?
Like so much.
Yeah.
But well, where I started when I had the opportunity to speak to the women was about 10 years ago, which was really when I started to feel this, something is very, very wrong. I was in Traverse City. So for context, I lived just east of Traverse City at the time, and previously had lived in downtown Traverse City. Traverse City, some people don't go into TC all the time. It was where I lived. And I was driving in Traverse City and I got lost. I couldn't.
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah. I was trying to get to the Civic Center, and I was towards Front Street, like the main part of Front Street. So I was heading east, knew I had to head east, but for the life of me, could not in my brain visualize where the Civic Center was, specifically which side of Garfield it was on. And I was panicking, like, this is it. I'm having a stroke. Of course, my first thought is I have a brain tumor, I have an aneurysm. Like, this is it. This is where it ends, right here at the side of the road, because I pulled over and was sweating and panicking, and it was a time in my life where I was so burned out. I was in full-time ministry, had only been in for a couple of years. I had preteen kids, zero margins, had been getting sick for a while. I was having trouble with my voice. Mental health was terrible. I was gaining weight. I kind of felt like I was at the beginning of some perimenopause stuff. So it was, and realizing maybe there was some attention deficit stuff going on that could never been diagnosed as a child. But it was just like, this is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. So that was in the fall. A couple of months, I'd gone to my doctor, and we'd run a bunch of blood work. I'd gone back in, and he sat me down, and we went over the results. He said, you need to take a break. And I said, well, I think I might have some vacation time. He was like, no. I mean, you have to take a break. And I said, you don't understand. Christmas is coming up. I'm in full-time ministry. And he slammed, God bless him, slammed his hands on the deck and said, you're not hearing me. You are at the very edge of adrenal, you're in adrenal fatigue.
You're going to blow it.
But you're on the very edge of, we're done. And I ended up taking 3 months. I did work through Christmas Eve. We did Christmas Eve service, got done with that last service, and was off for 3 months. Spent the first month trying to unwind. Second month, shoulders came down a little bit. Third month, ramping up anxiety to go back to it. I learned nothing. I got nothing out of it. I just didn't know how to stop. So that was a 10-year journey of therapy, trying to listen better to my body. It got worse over the years. It's like you said, it's really just been this last year of going, this is not an option anymore. This is not what God has called me to. One of the pieces of scripture that I had shared that I think you had brought to me was Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain you rise up early and go late to rest, which was huge for me. Waking up in a huge cortisol, like adrenaline dump, like sweating, waking up early, going late to rest, way, way, way too late. Eating the bread of anxious toil. It's awful. It is in vain you rise up early, go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. That almost gets me choked up just even saying it. There is no rest when you're living that way. There is no rest. And I think, and I'm giving you so much credit for this because you and I worked on this together. If it is not from him, for him, and through him, you are toiling in vain. And that's what I had to come to.
Say that again.
If it is not from him,
yep,
for him, through him, you are toiling in vain. If he has not given you this mission, it is not for his glory. If he is not working through you and you are seeking him, this is all in vain.
Yeah.
All the spinning in the margins, the go, go, go. It might look noble, but it is for naught.
Yeah.
And you will be run down because he ain't going with you. You are now running on your own strength and on your own steam, and you will coast, and we only coast downhill. We talked about that before. If you're coasting, you're only coasting downhill.
You're not coasting uphill.
Nope. Nope. So that was really where I was at. Hugely where I was at.
Psalm 119:96 in the GNT translation says, "I have learned that everything has limits." And this writer reminds us that no matter how much you think of yourself, no matter what your potential is, your talent, your energy, how fit you are, this and that and the other, we have physical limitations. Our energy will not go on forever. We have emotional limitations. We have mental limitations. We can only handle so much information. We have time limitations. We'll never have over 24 hours a day. This I don't want to stress anyone out at the table because I know we all live full lives and all of us are working on this, creating margins. But this writer says the conditions of modern day living devour margin.
Yeah.
Marginless is being 30 minutes late to the doctor's office because you were 20 minutes late out of the hairdressers, because you were 10 minutes late dropping the children off at school, because the car ran out of gas 2 blocks from the gas station and you forgot your debit card. Margin, on the other hand, is having breath left at the top of the staircase, money left at the end of the month, and sanity left at the end of adolescence. Marginless is being asked to carry a load 5 pounds heavier than you can lift. Margin is a friend to carry half the burden. Marginless is not having time to finish the book you're reading on stress. Margin is having the time to read it twice. And I'm just sitting there going, this has so many implications for a people who Jesus said to us, come to me all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
That was my other piece of scripture that night.
Yeah. The one who said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Go on.
Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. I talk about this all the time. So that piece of scripture, long before I was a Christian, I heard that piece of scripture actually as a lyric in a song.
Yeah.
And I remember probably 15 years before I became a Christian, that went into my heart and stayed there. Rest for your soul is the implications of that. This is not a nap. It's not a good night's sleep. It's not a vacation in a warm place. It is rest for your soul, because we talked about pride, fear, addicted to the chaos, insecurity, lack of self-care. I put everybody else before me. That's in your soul. And if you have trauma, childhood stuff that you are running from constantly, there's never rest in your soul. You never have peace and rest in your soul. And he's like, I'm offering you that. I think I'd said that he extends the invitation He's extending the invitation.
Right.
I will give you rest in your soul.
Yeah.
It is deeper than any sleep. It is healing and peace.
Well, and I know
It's a
we're
big
not like
deal.
necessarily talking about the Sabbath, right? But that's the fourth commandment, and so we're commanded to rest.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether that looks like you have a specific day or those margins in your everyday, right? It's a command, and it's the Lord knows how He created our body, and He knows what is needed of it. But when we go and we blow past those margins, we are being disobedient, and we're not taking His yoke on us,
Right.
and so we're
doing it in our own strength.
doing it in our own strength.
I
and-
got this, God.
Yeah,
I don't need your help here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the red line. So in my brain, because I have a weird brain, one of the things I talked about was the red on the piece. So in many of our Bibles, the words of Jesus are in red,
Yes.
right? Not all of them, but they
Yes.
are. And so
The red letters,
you would point out to me, all of the Bible is God's word, but those words are the words of our hero, our Savior.
Mm-hmm.
And his words are our crucial guide. That's the guide for our life. So, and then what he did and what he said. When we push through the red, so the red of his words, which are, come to me, all you're aware, I'll give you the rest. The red on the piece of paper, what we're basically saying is, we're into the margins. We don't draw that line that we won't cross, the red on the piece of paper, the red of his word. We're saying, I know better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're saying is,
Yes.
I know better. I know better.
This is bringing back memories. This isn't part of our recent history, but I too wrote all over the page.
Mm-hmm.
First 10 years being a pastor here, I was all the way into the margins. I was burning the candle at both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Husband, dad, coaching, preaching, where we're going to fit these people, speaking all over the place. It was go, 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 do. And I had these voices, and they were Christian voices. Fulfill your potential. You got to do this. You got to do that. You can't say no. This is the Naval Academy. This is Thailand. This is, we're going back to Haiti. Just go. And thankfully, I had people around me that were like, you need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I don't. Break is for the weak. Breaks for the weak. I was buying into my own, and by God's grace, did not take a sabbatical. I was sent on sabbatical, both the authority in the church and the authority. So not to make it all about that, but spent 5 months. The first weekend, not being at church, my family's gone off to church, and I'm walking around the house supposed to be resting. I'm like, this is dumb. This is stupid. I literally rearranged, like I was looking for something in Darcy's cupboard in the kitchen, and I was like, why aren't these arranged properly? And so I arranged all the cabinets. Here are the peas, here's the tomatoes, here's the salsa, here's the thing. Darcy came home and she remembered an old 90s movie called Sleeping with the Enemy with this guy. She was like, I'm sleeping. What's going on? You need to go talk to somebody, So I will tell you, I don't want to make it all about that, but spent 5 months talking to a great, wise sage that we all know and love. He's been on this podcast, Counselor Joe Kelly. And he graciously gave me his time. And he was just kind of my guide through what does rest look like and learning to enjoy. And I didn't spend that time, working on sermon series or leadership stuff. It was doing the things that I enjoyed again. And it was decompressing, and it was painful. And it was, we moved some rocks in my life. We talked about my childhood, man, roaches coming out. And I'm so thankful for that time because I learned how to rest. Now, all of that to say, it was 1 month when sabbatical was over. Like I had been back to work for a month, and I made an appointment with him. And he had wanted this appointment. Hey, I want to talk to you a month after you're back in. And I remember sitting down in his office, and his first question was something to the effect of, so how are things now that you're back to work? And I looked at him, and it's the only time I got the silver star from Joe Kelly, is I said, I don't know, I'm still on sabbatical. And he goes, wait, I thought you went back a month ago. And I said, oh, I'm back preaching. I'm doing meetings and stuff like that, but I'm still on sabbatical. And he goes, and he goes, thus you have learned the lesson,
Wow.
right? There is a way. Now, I haven't done it perfectly since then. You've seen me. There's some mornings you're like, what are you doing here? You're sick. You're playing hurt. Go home. You know, what's the... There's a way to live, to your point, sabbatically, and not be a hedonist, to live sabbatically and not be lazy. We work hard. I mean, I think you just said it a couple days ago. Here, just with our staff, we work hard and we play hard, but we should probably add, I mean, you're better with coming up with sayings than me. We rest well, you know, we figure out, and I want to do better at creating that margin. I loved how you said it, to leave room for the what ifs. Don't fill every speaking opportunity, every ministry opportunity, every night of the week. There's got to be nights that are just carved, like set aside. God, look, you own the whole page, Lord. You own the whole page. But if I'm going to steward my life, I'm going to create that space, that margin for you to do what you want.
Trust.
And yes. How
And
do we
that
do
was-
that?
Well, and that was, I've said it more times since when were the Christies here? Was that July?
Yeah.
June, July?
I think, yeah.
And we had a couple of days of really good stuff. There were a few things, especially that Laura said, just absolutely, I think she talked about contentment. And one quote that she said that I have said over and over and over to myself and to anyone else who will listen. And it was this. She said, you can't do it. God, never said you should. He will do it. He always said he would. So I can't do this, and I just have to know that and believe it. And that's so difficult because of all the things we talked about, the pride, the insecurity, the fear. You can't do it. And that's something I had to understand. So the whole nother conversation, but I had learned a lot of resilience as a little girl that just talk about living in my own, controlling everything, my own power, my own strength is something I've prided myself in as being stronger than anyone else in the room. Whole nother thing. But actually being able to say to myself, I can't do it is so difficult. That's going to probably be until the day I die. Probably my last breath will be like, but can I though? Maybe I can. But it was, you kind of, and he never said that we should.
Right.
He's like, I never asked you to do all this. What are you doing? I never said you could do this. Never. That's the whole I can do all things through, right? No.
I can do all things.
Yeah, I can do all things through him.
yeah.
No, without him, you do nothing. But he will do it. His promises, he always said he would. He's like, I always said I'd do this. Just trust me. So that's do I know the mission, the main event that he's calling me to? Do I trust him? Am I doing that? But the practical, and this was one of the things, it's funny because I had someone a few days after the Women of Valor said, well, then how do you do it?
Yeah.
Because we've all sat through, and this was what I didn't want to do, and I'm be really careful here because I've heard many messages on the rest, the rest work rhythm, the working out of your rest, not resting out of your work, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things I said that I had someone come up and say, well, what do you do then? Which she said it really helped me, is I said, if I wake up an hour early, because I hear a lot of people say, I wake up before the rest of my family, I get my cup of coffee, the sun is rising, I sit with my Bible, and I just sit in his word. And I'm like, if I wake up an hour early, I'm like, yes, and I go back to sleep. Because sleep is such a valuable commodity. I don't sleep well.
And if you tell them exactly, like, is this what you're driving at? If I tell you exactly how you should do it with your Lord and Savior, I've just created a new list
of a new idol as well.
But the people that it sounds like that are addicted to the chaos and the pride and trying to fill all of the things is they don't realize that there's also a work that is done in the rest.
Yes.
And so the work being done in the rest is still him guiding you through that. And he's taking those roaches out. He's pruning the little branches. He's, hey, you remember that thing that happened when you were a kid? Let's go ahead and explore that because I know that you're carrying that and let me take that off of you.
Yeah.
And so he's doing a work even in the rest, which is why he's called us to rest, is so that we can experience his yoke being easy and his yoke being light.
And not a burden.
Right.
Yeah. But that's, I remember saying that, and one woman said, well, if you don't get up early and spend time with him, then how do you do it? And it was like, I just wanted to make sure if there's any women listening who were at that and felt attacked, I feel attacked. It's like, I love that for you. It's just not what my life looks like.
There's a freedom for it to look different.
Yes,
Yeah,
for everybody.
There's a total freedom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Christians do that all the time. There's I know that I probably make my mother's sensibilities, wish that she'd raised me better. And my wife sometimes like, John, don't say this. But we're so good as Christians on shooting on one another. You should do this. You know what you should do? This is just, and it's just a shooting that happens. Yeah. And so I love the leaving room for what does margin look like in your life. Now, there's principles we see from Christ. Just because Jesus rose up very early in the morning to pray, it doesn't mean that you can't stay up very late at night to pray, because he also prayed all night.
Right.
Yeah.
He was pretty much the model for praying without ceasing. But prayer can look like so many different things. There's so many things that are related here. Is sometimes praying isn't filling the air with words. Sometimes prayer is listening, or as, again, to our guru Foster had said to me, I think I've shared it with you, that sometimes I'm just spending time agreeing with God about this beauty, about this rest, about this nap. And so the reluctance isn't, you're not trying to be difficult when someone comes to you and says, so how do you do it? Well, here's some options that you can think about.
Yeah.
But
and it was a good little snippet of a combo.
Yeah. It isn't a new list of things that I have to add and write in all of my margins, because I probably don't have time for that. There was this pastor who did try to do this just a little bit, the one who was talking about all of the limitations that we have. He said, or his first thing was, ask this question: why am I driven to overload my life? Like, really dig into that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why he put this one here, because I didn't read the whole thing, but he said, expect problems and delays. Or I would say, expect God to say, you know what, you thought you had that page. I'm going to go ahead and write all, I'm going to write all up and down the sides of what I want to write in your margins.
Yeah.
What you've already said, add buffer space in your schedule. Prune your activities regularly. We did this as a church about, 15 years ago. You thought that we were preaching out of the, a heretical Bible or some, preaching a different religion, because we said, we're going to do these menu items and we're going to do them well. In trying to make disciples love God and love people, we're going to have services, we're going to have groups, we're going to have stuff for youth, we're going to have stuff for kids, we're going to give some money to missions. Done. But what about this? But what about that? Well, we could do this. We could do that. We could do that. And we're like, hey, that's a great idea.
Everyone's in the town. Everyone's here. What are you doing? He's like,
No.
Laser focused.
So we do it as an organization. What if I do that myself? And then the last one he says here is walk with Jesus and learn. The one who says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
That's the invitation.
I think I'm saying this guy's name correctly, but Victoria, you'll correct me. Robert Murray McShane, is that his name?
I don't know.
McShane?
No.
I've heard it McCain. I think it's McShane. Or Machine, whatever. Yeah,
looks like Machine.
Famous Scottish preacher. Born 1813 in Scotland. Dies in 1843 at the age of 29. Wow. I mean, the dude's cause of death, illness, likely typhus or complications from overwork and exhaustion.
Oh my God.
Known for deep piety, powerful preaching, missionary zeal, and unbelievable writings. I've quoted this guy in sermons before, like the stuff, the way he works the pen with the English language and connecting God and us is just, wrote the Machine Bible reading plan, a structured daily Bible reading guide that's still used today, right?
No wonder he's exhausted.
He pushed himself relentlessly in ministry, often neglecting rest. In a letter of reflection, according to his biographers, he is remembered to have lamented overworking, saying something to the effect of this: God gave me a message and a horse, and I have killed the horse.
Wow.
He's talking about his body. God gave me a message and his horse, and I have killed the horse. And so how many Christians, God gave me a purpose and a horse, and I've lost the purpose because I burn out. I lost the marriage. I have no relationship with my kids. I have no relationship with my father or physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, just burnout.
Yeah.
And so instead of being examples of us living out of the overflow of what you guys were talking about, depending on the Spirit, I'm depending on me. Well, I can't save anybody. And then the world looks at us and say, well, you have no more rest in your life than I do.
Right.
Instead of being these people that have this deep connection with the Father, abiding, as you said, being pruned. And there's times of busy, there's times of work. But, when the pendulum starts to swing, it's like, how do we get back to that center?
Somewhat centered. Well, and this is, the reality is, and this was the hard part, because again, we've all sat through messages of just rest more.
Yeah.
The pruning is super important, though. And you and I talked about this beforehand. You had given me this idea of a ball of glass, right?
Yeah.
So for the practical that in my brain was, it's like we can say, and again, I was talking to a bunch of women, a lot of women who are just go, go, go. They have kids of a certain age where they're just, the school run in the morning, they grocery shopping, get home, get a load of laundry on, start prepping food, pick up one kid, take him to a sports practice, pick up the next one, go somewhere else. Everyone's eating in the car.
Got to serve at church.
Yes.
I'm on the boosters.
Yeah,
on
I know you're on the boosters.
So
It was like an accident.
it was an accident.
So anyway.
But she had a margin for that.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
But we're
then
all
it's
juggling all these balls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then it's like, the reality is, because well, don't tell me just let some things go. Okay, listen. Sometimes you just have to let some stuff go. And so what are the ones that you can't drop? If you're juggling all these balls of glass, such a great visual.
Yeah.
There's some that you cannot let go, and that is your faith, and trying to grow in that, doing the best you can every day. Your family, because like you said, there are responsibilities we're called to, and which ones can you? They're not all glass.
Yeah.
Some of them you think are glass. It's like, no, you can drop that sucker. It's not going to break. And even if you're dropping it for a season, you cannot show up for everything all the time. And it's like, are they actually your monkeys? Is that really your circus?
Right.
You might just think it is, and you're taking that on. And then my second point was, but maybe they are your monkeys and it is your circus, because that's a reality too. But if we are going to go on the margins, because that is just the reality, I never want to be that person saying, just create margins. Yes, you can. Don't say you can't. Sometimes it's just a reality of a season, but it has to be for a season. It has to be finite. And then you do it with him and for him. Do not go into that territory, that like enemy territory by yourself.
With him,
exactly.
for him, through
so
him.
You're like, Lord, here I'm going, but I'm walking with you. I'm not just, again, coasting into this and not realizing you're way back there going, I'll just wait here for you then as you go into that enemy territory.
But if we're doing it,
that sounds bad, not enemy territory if it's your, I'm just saying that sometimes there is a season, but it must be a season and you must still be following his leading.
But if we're doing that and we are going across the margins, we're going to still have that rest. It's still going to be restful, and he's going to equip us, and we're going to have that. We're going to feel that.
It's like any way you look at it,
right?
It's like if you are staying focused, if he is guiding you, you're going to be okay.
Right.
It's when we start doing our own strength. And I think I had those 4 points at the end is remember who you are in him. Like we talked, we are daughters of the King. We're his children, his beloved creation.
And sons.
And sons, yep. But remember who you are, because if we lose track of that, it's like, remembering our worth. We're not less than everybody else. Everyone's comfort shouldn't come before us, where we're kind of bottom, and not because, what did I say? And so I don't know if this is something we hear just as women, we hear this all the time. You need to rest because you're no good to anybody if you're exhausted. Okay, if you really think about that, we're saying is we need you healthy so you can be here for everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, how about because he needs us for the mission he's called us to, not because
everybody needs us to do all the things that are making me tired.
You're useless to your husband and children if you're exhausted, if you're dead. It's like, well, what? But what about him? And what about me? What about my worth?
Yeah.
So remembering our worth and the power of no, we talked about that. There's really, honestly, there's no way but to do it. Try it. Just say no. It's a learning process. It's hard, but you just got to try it. And then we have to be reminded often. We need accountability, someone to be like, you need to stop.
Yeah, I kind of want to speak on that a little bit because I did see that in your life over this last year is when you and Matt came back from your trip the first time. Matt was like I love my wife and I'm going to fight for her. And so he did it so graciously, but he was like, you guys cannot keep blasting through my wife's boundaries. And he didn't say it like that, but just like, hey, if she's off, like let her have a day off, and he did it very respectfully. It wasn't, but I was so pumped up for that because you had the people around you that are like, hey, she will say yes to you because she wants to do the best that she can and have it be the best that it could be. But I need you guys to respect these boundaries. And so you had this man that got put in your life as your husband and he covered you, like he had your six in that moment. And so that last piece is it is important to have people around us that not shit on us, but being like, hey, where's your margins? Hey, nope, you said that you were taking today off. I need you to take today off, And it's a beautiful thing that you have that in your husband, that you have that where...
He's a beautiful man. I'm looking at him right now.
He's
just
handsome.
Flexing right over there.
But it was shown to us that, like, no, we do need to, like, we all are busy, but we need to honor each other in those busy times as well. Yeah. Like, so then that way you can be the best who you can be, but for the Lord,
That's why our small groups, women's ministry, men's ministry, because I can think about so many times someone's come to me and said, are you doing okay? You seem kind of tired. And I'm like, no, I'm good. It's just, oh, okay. I walked away. And you need those people who will get right into your bubble and say,
there she goes, right into your bubble. Yeah.
Yes, don't start. Do not touch my knee. But yeah, we do. That accountability is huge. And I think that's why, iron sharpens iron. You have men who will absolutely not let other men wiggle out of that. It's like, nope, I'm going to hold you accountable. And women who will do that for each other.
I think sometimes we forget, and this is a pithy one of these little pithy quotes, but I think there's a lot of truth into it. Sometimes doing less is the only way to do more. And sometimes doing more is the quickest way to really accomplish nothing. And this isn't just a leadership principle. This is something that Jesus modeled. And I'm so glad that you shared that, not just for the women, but men need to hear it too. There are men burning the candle at both ends. And this is directly related to how we view grace. This is where the gospel runs right through the center of our time management, right? And so just this past weekend, the message was all about grace. And then I attended a small group, the small group that I was in. Wow, people were wrestling with that. That why is it that I'll say as a Christian, I'm saved by grace, but I'm kept by my works. Like God needs my help, in my salvation. Well, you find someone that doesn't believe in margins, who thinks that, man, I've just got to go, do, that it's all, you usually don't find someone that has a very intimate understanding of what God's grace really is, that Jesus really did pay it all. All to him I owe, right? So they focus on the all to him I owe, right? And so it's somehow I can pay back or I'm going to earn it. And then it very quickly is no longer saved by grace alone. It's I'm saved by grace, but I got to do these works to kind of prove it,
right?
Or just kind of pay him back. You can't pay it back. It's I don't have to do good works. I get to. It isn't my duty as a Christian. It's my desire to honor the King. All of these things are related. And I think where we feel it in the day-to-day has been the topic of our conversation. Is when someone isn't resting and trusting in God's grace, it's very easy to write in the margins. When you learn to trust in God's grace and believing that it's all done by Him and that that I can live dependent, right? Then I have the freedom to leave margins open, those open spaces. As you mentioned, there's seasons. But even as I was thinking about that, is if the consistent angle of my life is to create margins for what God wants to do, for rest, for solitude, for silence, for prayer, even if it's not those things, even if it's just to be present, just be present someplace. There's nothing right now that can't wait. I'm just going to be
Mhm.
present with God or with my spouse or with my family, my kids, my friends, whatever it is. If that is the bent of your life, when those hurried seasons come on,
Right.
I've got the energy for
You have
that.
the margin. You
I've
have
got the rest for that
the
in the bank.
emotional,
Right.
physical margin.
Yeah, we can burn
Yeah.
it, but don't live there too long. Don't
Right.
live there too long, you know?
Mhm.
It's something you said just caught my brain. I'm trying to think of how to say it.
It probably
His-
wasn't that great.
No, his grace, his love, and his mercy, he will get your attention.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He will get your attention. That's so part of my coming to faith story was my life was unbelievably busy. I just had my oldest, she would have been a year old. I had a job that was very, I worked with kids here in town. I could walk into any school, both junior highs, both senior highs, 5 or 6 of the elementary schools. We ran programs, worked for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. I knew all the kids in town. I go to the skate park when it was brand new, Civic Center, and I was not a Christian at the time. It was 100% my identity.
Yeah.
I mean, I walk into the cafeteria at the high school, teenagers would flock. I mean, being a youth pastor, you're just the cool kid. And, you hang out with all the cool kids. I hang out with a lot of at-risk kids. I loved it, and it was busy, and I was a brand new mom. So I was less than a year old, and I lost my job. And my life became very quiet. When you said you just said the less, where there's less is often where
there's
more happens.
Yeah.
And in the quiet, and I was gutted. I didn't know who I was, lost all sense of what I'm supposed to be doing, what is my quote unquote purpose. And again, I wasn't a Christian at the time. So I was 31, 32. And in the quiet, I look back now and I think he forced the quiet. It's the best thing ever happened to me, losing my job. Best thing. I had 6 months where I couldn't find a job. And it was just me and my son. And in that quiet, he's like, "Are you ready to listen to me now?" And I had I would say probably agnostic, kind of, maybe interested. But that's when he showed up, was in the quiet.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a very crazy time. I finally prayed the prayer like, "All right, bring it." And he did. For about 72 hours until I literally was begging for mercy, like, stop.
Wow.
Because it was like being beat around the head for like 3-4 days of just constant.
Yeah.
He's like, "Let's go." And it was affirmation, confirmation about who he was. I was like, okay, I give, rolled over and showed my belly, and that was it. That was it. But my life had to shut down to the quiet before I could hear anything that he had to say, anything he had to say. I still didn't learn, 10 years later or whatever it was.
I wish
I still didn't have it.
Paid, like looking back, I know people warned me. My youth pastor who, when I was a kid, he was my youth pastor. Still friends with him to this day, mentor, friend. I remember Darcy and I being first married, just having, I can't remember if we had 1 or 2 kids. We're visiting them in Detroit at this church that he was at, and we're staying in their home. And his first wife, who passed away brutally, lost a battle with MS. She had just, I think, been diagnosed. And we have our kids, and we're just starting out in ministry, and we're the age that he was when I first met him. And we're sitting in their home. I can't remember how the conversation went. But Beth was, Scott Bills is his name, and his wife, Beth, who, just a student of the word, an amazing disciple, we were just asking, hey, what's the greatest lesson that you could give to us as we're embarking on parenthood, and we're in ministry, and you're in ministry, and da-da-da-da-da. And she told me this, but I didn't hear. I didn't hear until now, right? I mean, I'm older. And she said the biggest or the best piece of advice that we can give you is, we decided, because they had 4 kids, and they said we didn't want to miss what was most important. She was saying we needed a margin. And she said, so from early on in our marriage, we decided that the dishes can wait. The dishes can wait.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, I remember visiting their home as a teenager, and it was always like chaos, a disaster, dishes piled high, just kind of whatever, but super happy kids, you know. And you can start a fight about, well, we're going to learn discipline in our house. We're going to do the dishes together and have meaningful conversation. And then the dishes will always be done and everything will always be. That's a house that I grew up in, right? But what she was trying to communicate was a deeper truth that there's going to be a margin and we'll get dishes done at a different time or a different place. We're not going to go after this perfectionism of what a pastor's home should look like and what family is. It's like, no, we're going to spend time with the kids. We're going to put them to bed. We're going to read Bible stories. We're going to have that. The dishes can wait. It doesn't mean they never did dishes.
Right. Yeah.
But it was just that little motto. And it wasn't until our kids are in high school that I'm watching them all grow and it's going so fast. And then I'm like, why did I spend so much time doing dishes?
Yeah.
The dishes can wait.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know what I thought about that.
And that's something that I've kind of learned too. I'm not as high driven as either of you. I kind of am like a feather on a breeze, like Forrest Gump. But when scripture talks about the Mary and the Martha, you know, like Jesus said that Mary, there's a time to be a Martha, but that Mary chose the better portion.
Yeah.
And so you had a whole list and they're great, you know, that guy said, but the thing that we probably should just be asking, what's the better portion? Like just choosing the better portion. So they chose to be with the family. Yes, dishes can wait, right?
Yeah.
And so what's the better portion? What's the more like,
good.
You know, like what's the
good
thing that
versus better.
Right.
Better versus best.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if I don't get these dishes done, what's going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, well, we're going to have to do it and scrub a little bit harder, right? But at least I see
It's a rubber ball. It's
right.
not a
It's
glass
a rubber ball. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of us have to take our papers and say, okay, why am I feeling it? Wondering like what is the root of why we're feeling it? So you were very transparent with us. You were like, my root is pride. My root is addicted to chaos. My root is my identity is found in here, right? And then once we sit in that moment, okay, well then what are the rubber balls that we can drop, and what are the glass balls that we can't drop? And
being honest and not being afraid to do it differently.
Yeah.
Like what you just said is like, well, if some comes up, how many times, oh my gosh, do you say to a friend, this is when, you know, when you're friends that you say, I'm popping over, like, great, my house is a mess, I don't even care. Or the friends
and they're
who
like, so am
you
I.
show up and you can see the
Yeah.
vacuum in the carpet, you can see the vacuum pad, and you're like, did you vacuum before I came over? And they're like, no. Like, you are a liar. You are lying to me right now.
Right.
It's that, let me do things, Lord, give me the strength to not make those things my identity, to not care if they're, I literally don't care if people look at my house and judge it because it's gross. It's like, help me to do things differently so that I can do the things you're calling me to do, to not let my identity be in those things, the pride, the fear, all those things. One of the things I shared at the end of the time I had to speak, which, thank you, I hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
And yes, I hate this too.
Yeah.
I always
And
hate the
thank you.
podcast. It's the worst.
I've loved every minute of it.
When I went on that 3-month medical leave, the therapist, the counselor, the staff counselor that we had, amazing, very cool lady, gave me a book to read. It was called An Invitation to Prayer and Solitude. And I was like, I'm going to read this book, right? Because that was the expectation as I read the book. I didn't get past the first page because there was a poem at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, the
that
poem.
just absolutely, I cried and cried and cried and cried and actually never looked at the book again. I don't know what else is in there. It might be some amazing stuff.
It's
actually on my table right now.
You should probably
I probably
read it.
should read it. But
that was sarcasm.
For me, I need visual reminders. So it's the tattoos that I have. But one of the tattoos I have is the first line of that poem, which was just a reminder. It says, oh God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. Gather me close to you. Like, let me be as close, like, let us be close together. I know you're with me all the time, but help me remember that if I just can feel close to you, then I'll stay on task. I'll stay mission focused. I'll be in touch with what it is you're calling me to do, the real calling of my life, you know, the main event, capital M, capital E. But that poem just wrecked me. It was like, oh, help me do things differently and not be tied to those things. So that was.
No, that's a great.
Do you want me to read the poem, or do you want to leave the poem?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read the poem?
If you sing it.
I thought you were going to read it. Yeah.
I am going to read it.
Can you sing it to me?
Yeah, please do.
Victoria?
It says, "O God, gather me now to be with you as you are with me. Soothe my tiredness, quiet my fretfulness, curb my aimlessness, relieve my compulsiveness. Let me be easy for a moment. O Lord, release me from the fears and the guilts which grip me so tightly, from the expectations and opinions which I so tightly grip, that I may be open to receiving what you give, to risking something genuinely new, to learning something refreshingly different. Forgive me for claiming so much for myself that I leave no room for gratitude, for confusing exercises and self-importance with acceptance of self-worth, for complaining so much of my burdens that I become a burden, for competing against others so insidiously that I stifle celebrating them and receiving your blessing through their gifts. Oh God, gather me to be with you as you are with me. Amen.
Who wrote that poem?
A gentleman called Robert Loder, Loder. I think it's Robert.
It's a
But
good
Loder
word.
is the last name. It's a great prayer.
It's a
Like,
good
help
prayer.
me just to see things differently. Do something different. Try it a different way. Quiet me. Just quiet me. Let me be easy,
So I can
quiet,
breathe.
still for a moment.
I want to be
Yeah.
able to breathe.
Mhm.
I feel the need right now for a nap.
We should do take a nap right here, like
Right.
little carpet
It's time for bed.
squares.
Yeah, a little carpet
Like in
squares. just
kindergarten,
do
a
that.
little
Oh,
There's a
carpet
yeah.
cushion right
square
over
and
there.
Oh,
a
yeah,
John.
cookie and a
cushion.
glass of milk.
Yeah, no.
Nah.
God promised us rest, and I think that's a
It's the
great place
invitation.
to. Yeah, that is. It
Mhm.
is, and I like how you just said that. It's an invitation.
Mhm.
You can keep doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can keep doing it. I've seen me do it. I've seen me blow right through the margins, and then I'm a much. And we didn't even talk about procrastination,
Mm.
but
Oh, how ironic.
yeah. We didn't even talk about procrastination. But he promised us
We'll get to it.
rest. And I thought I was
Agreed.
Forrest Gump, like a feather on a breeze. Sorry,
Mm-mm.
that's just been the
No.
organization of my life.
Mine too.
We might be more alike than you, because I've used that 1,000 times. I'm
Yeah.
just Forrest Gump. I'm just a feather on a
like,
breeze. I don't know how
where-
I got here. You know,
That's why I'm on like 5 boards now, I think, on
Yeah.
Exodus. So
you're
It's like,
missing
how'd
a
I get
meeting
here?
right now because it's in the margin. This is good. Matt, you got anything to add? Despite
Nothing?
okay, nothing. No, he's just over there living on
He's
sabbatical.
still and
He's living
quiet.
sabbatically. He's living sabbatically.
thinking about St. Thomas.
He's taking Sabbath.
He is thinking about St. Thomas, probably.
Ah, jaw monkey. No, let's not go there. Victoria, thank you so much for agreeing to come on here. Rachel, thanks for escorting her and being her
Handler.
her friend.
My
Thanks for
handler?
pushing her.
I don't know.
Your handler, her agent, her manager. Oh, it's going to
Follow me
happen.
everywhere.
It's going to happen. Tabernacle family, please share this with someone that you think share this with someone that you think needs to take a minute
Yeah.
and have a timeout. No, just share it if you think it would be helpful for someone. But don't shit on them. You should listen to
No.
this. Yeah,
Yes.
you should listen to
Defeats
this.
the purpose.
Yeah, just but like and subscribe. I'm so glad we had this conversation. I personally am like, there's more that I can cut out. There's
Mhm.
more that I can say no to. It is the bent of my personality to want to, not that I think I'm someone's savior, but
Mhm.
to always say yes. I'm so grateful for my wife, who,
Mm.
if church has been over for an hour and I'm still talking to you and my phone starts buzzing, it's usually my wife saying, "The horse is dead, John, get off the horse.
Yeah.
You're
John,
not the Holy Spirit, John."
Your wife has
Yeah.
texted me
Yes.
and told me
Tell
to
him
get
to
you
come
out
home.
of the building.
Yeah, get me out of the building.
Yeah.
So
She's
that's the
on it.
tendency is to want to say
She's
yes,
on
to want to
it.
say
Yeah.
she's on it. Yeah, she's great at saying no,
Fantastic.
but I need
Teach
to get
us all.
better at that. So,
Mhm.
anyways,
Work in progress.
ladies, thanks for all you do. Thanks for the wisdom that you shared,
Thank you.
and for being willing to do it. Until next time, Tabernacle family. This is Victoria, Rachel, Lord, Matthew, Corey, Hughes, and yours truly, John Vermelia, signing off.